it is not exactly a lecture on the Indus civilization, though it forms a good chunk of it. Rather, I choose the Sarasvati River, which was, as you will see, one of the, let me show you in fact immediately what it is on this introductory photo. Can we switch off this tube light, please?
Yeah, can you switch off the tube?
Yeah, that helps. You can see if you open Google Earth and you type, for example, Rajasthan, you're going to get a picture something like this. And you will see here Ganga, Yamuna, and this is the Satluj. This is what you will see on Google Earth. Now you see a dark line here. What is this? Now what is this is what we're going to explore, and this is something which has been identified for various reasons, which I'll briefly explain. With the Vedic Sarasvati River, the river highly praised in the Rig Veda, and a river which has a totally unique role and a unique, it's a unique embodiment of a goddess. It is in fact in the Rig Veda the only river which is deified, which is compared to a goddess. Sindhu, that is the Indus, is not. The Satluj is not. None of the other rivers are deified. Of course, later on in the Puranas, as we know in the classical literature, all rivers become goddesses and a few are gods like the Brahmaputra, but most are goddesses. So that is in the classical period. But why is it that in the Rig Veda only one river becomes a goddess? And not only an ordinary goddess, she becomes the goddess of speech, Vach, that is a little later in the Yajur Veda. And still later, she becomes the goddess of wisdom, of the arts, of education, and so on, as we know today. So, this river, in many ways, and I hope you will see some more ways during my lecture, represents the whole course of Indian civilization. You can say that the flow of Indian civilization is embodied here. So, let us begin our exploration, and we have to begin with the Rig Veda, which I've already introduced, where you have a certain precise geography limited by the Saptasimbhava, the 7 rivers of the Punjab. And Sindhu, the Indus, is very frequently mentioned, and all rivers, the Afghan tributaries like the Gomati, the Kabul River and so on. And then if you move towards the east, you meet all the tributaries of the Indus, and you meet the Satluj, and you meet other rivers which we will see now, all the way to Ganga, which is the last river mentioned in the Rig Veda. Now Sarasvati is described very often. In fact, it is the river most praised in the Rig Veda. There are something like 72 mentions of Sarasvati, sometimes as a goddess, sometimes as a river, and often as both. Now, this Sarasvati has certain characteristics. It is a mighty river, Maho Arna Sarasvati, the Sarasvati of mighty waters. And it is impetuous, its flow is unbroken from the mountain to the sea. Giribhya Asamudra, which is not a description applied to any other river in the Rig Veda. So we have something fairly specific. And then she is the best of mothers, the best of rivers, the best of goddesses. This is a famous praise, and again a unique praise. None of the other rivers receive this kind of praise. Then there is something quite special going on, because in the 10th and last mandala of the Rig Veda, we have, luckily, and without this hymn, it would not have been possible to place Sarasvati on the map securely. We have this Nadistuti Sukta, the hymn in praise of rivers, where something like 19 rivers totally are listed. But I'm showing you here just 2 mantras where you can see that rivers are listed, first of all, very strangely, from east to west, and not from west to east. This is something which is, I'll come back to it I think at the end. So, I cannot read, Vedic Sanskrit properly with the accent and all that, so I will not attempt because it's almost a crime to do that. But anyway, Gange, Yamune, Saraswati, Shutudri are the first rivers which are mentioned. Ganga is a totally unimportant river in the Rig Veda. It is mentioned just twice. This is one of them. It doesn't figure at all. It hardly exists at all. But still, it is the eastern origin of the Vedic world. Ganga acquires importance in later literature, in the Brahmanas, and of course in the epics and Puranas and so on. In the Upanishads also to some extent. So you have Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and Shutudri, which is the Satluj. Shutudri becomes Shatadru in the Mahabharata, and this is, then we have a continuous evolution to the name of Satluj. So, then this continues to the eastern rivers. You end up here with Sindhu, you see, and Kubhaya, which is the Kabul, Gomatim, which is the Gomal river, Krumum, which